Hey guys, it's Maite. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have two impeccably designed planners for the minimalist and functional planner at heart. So if that sounds like you, you're definitely going to want to keep watching and subscribe to this channel because I have a lot more planner reviews coming your way on Fridays. I also have home management and homemaking content that I make on Mondays and Wednesdays. So you're definitely going to want to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video from me. So the two planners I have in front of me are from the brand Northfolk, and this gray smaller planner is their daily and weekly agenda. So this has two layouts, and this black planner is their vertical lined weekly, which does not have two layouts. But before I dive into both of these planners in greater detail, let me give you just a little bit of background on the company because the design behind this planner is going to make a lot more sense once I cover that. So the Northfolk brand was created by the duo Sam and Rachel, and they're based in Alaska and Colorado. That might be the reason for the name behind Northfolk. They are actually web designers by trade, and they design tools for creative entrepreneurs to make their digital lives and the digital aspects of their business much easier. So if you go onto their website, you can see that they actually make websites for creative entrepreneurs. So they have pre-made templates. They're all super gorgeous, super well designed. And this is actually not a sole planner company by trade. So I do think it's super interesting that they decided to take their design skills to paper to create a paper tool for the same digital creatives that they serve in their business. Which makes sense because a lot of creative people, whether you work in a digital space or with physical product or what have you, do like to put a lot of their ideas onto paper. So I do think this was a very interesting concept and very well executed. But even if you're not in that space at all, I think these planners are made in such a way that anybody can use them if you like the design. So definitely keep on watching even if that's not your scene, because you'll see that this is a very versatile planner and I can see a ton of different people using it. So let me give you a quick overview of both planners before I dive into each individually. So each planner comes in two different colors. You can either get this beautiful oatmeal colored cover, which is this linen material that is wrapped around chipboard, or in this inky black color. So both the daily comes in black and oatmeal and the weekly comes in black and oatmeal. They both have 100 GSM paper. I will be going into a mini pen test later in the video. I also just love how these planners have a blind embossing on the spine of the planner. It just looks so unbelievably good. And when you look really up close to the planner, you can see their little blind embossing characters here. I think they're of the North Star, I believe. So these are just like little coordinates, and I think that's like a pine tree. So these are all symbols of, the North. And both of these planners are undated. You still get these very sturdy mylar coated tabs, and because they're undated, in the back of both planners, they provide you this sticker sheet with all of the months printed on them, as well as grid projects, doodles, and notes, labels, and also the second half of the sticker sheet just has these little icon stickers on them. And both planners also have the sturdy accordion pocket in the back, which means that it extends. And the side of these accordion pockets is this like sturdy synthetic fabric material, so it's not just paper accordion, so that seems like that's very sturdy. And the tabs don't stick out. They're built into the planner with this step staircase type thing going on, so they don't stick out, but you can easily still find your place in the planner. And to add to that, they also have two really gorgeous black bookmarks. Both planners do. And the great thing about these bound planners is that they have a Swiss lay flat binding. And what that means is that the planner lays completely flat when you want to write on it. And the reason it's able to do that is because you have this little piece of chipboard here, and these pages are not attached to this side of the book. So as you can see here, this is like a double binding because this part isn't attached to the spine of the book. So when you turn it, it lays flat and the chipboard at the front acts as a support for you to write on. So you have the flexibility of writing like a coil-bound planner without the bulk because it lays completely flat. All right, so let's dive into this daily planner. So this planner is 6.5 inches across and 8.5 inches tall, and it's 1.5 inches thick. So it is a very thick planner, but it's quite heavy. The reason it's so chunky is that it has 2 layouts, including a daily layout for the entire year. So you are covered for an entire calendar year. You don't have to buy 2 planners. Because now with several planners out there that do give you a combination of layouts, you have to buy it either in thirds or 2 planners a year. But this retails for $72, but you're getting 2 layouts, one of them being a daily planner, and you do get the whole year. So I do think that's a really fair price considering how high quality the planner is. So when you first open up the planner, you get your cover page, a note from Sam and Rachel, and then it jumps into examples on how to use the planner. So the weekly layout, they intended to give you a space here for the date under the day of the week, a spot for a meal, etc., etc., and then a sample use of your daily layout. You have health check, hydration check, I believe this is whether you took your vitamins or not check, and then just a little mock daily agenda and to-do list. So this is a yearly goals page. It breaks things up into financial, personal, work, family, lifestyle, other. And then you have a 5-year goal and a 10-year goal. And then shows you how to use the debt payoff sheet. So I guess this was just the filling it out as you pay it off. And then they also provide you with a 52 weeks saving chart, which if you are not familiar with that idea, it's where you save $1 more than you did the last week, coordinating with the weeks of the year. But you can also put in whatever number you want. It then jumps into a current year overview, so it gives you January through December across both pages, and then the 1st to the 31st vertically. I love pages like this, and it also gives you the numbers on the other side as well. But I think the cool thing is they also give you a following year overview. So no matter what year or years you decide to use this in, you are covered for the following year as well. So then we jump into the monthly layout where you can circle the month that you're on across, so you don't even have to deal with the stress of writing down each month, because I always hate the way my handwriting looks whenever I fill in an undated planner. And you get a monthly tip on the side of each monthly spread. This one says your headspace needs just as much, if not more attention than your living space. Take time this month to do activities that quiet the mind. It's nice. So then you get a notes section and important dates. They don't have a year to glance section on the side, obviously because it's undated, but I like that they just kept notes and important dates. And you do get 5 weeks on the undated monthly, and it runs from Sunday through Saturday on your monthly spreads. So on the month tab, it opens straight onto your monthly calendar, but also it doesn't go straight into your weeklies and dailies. It goes into a finance tracker and a habit tracker. So not only are you getting 2 weekly layouts, but you're also getting some extras as well, which I think is fantastic. So you have your finance tracker, which they kept completely blank. They did not fill these in, which for any business owner or, if you're just trying to manage household finances is great because you have things that are specific to your needs. So you can just fill those out as well and fill them out as things grow and as you go along. And they give you a total at the end. And then you get a habit tracker that you use horizontally. And you have a space to write your habits, and then I guess just tracking things you need to do around the house, and they give you from the 1st to the 31st. The grid isn't super teeny, which is really nice. And then you jump into the weekly spread. Now the weekly spreads are a week on one page, so you do get 5 weeks per month. So 1, 2, 4, 5. So that covers all the days that you might need. And what I think is really interesting is that they do advertise this as an agenda spread, so to keep your appointments. But I really feel like you can use this for really whatever you want. So they do give you a spot for meals, but you could use this as an entire spread just dedicated to meal planning. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you would have that all on one page. That's how many menu planning spreads are set up. They're set up on a week per page. You could also completely track something else on these pages too. So let's say you wanted to keep the daily agenda for business, but you wanted to keep this for personal, you could keep those separate. You could track several things. You can track something else completely on this weekly in your business. So let's say, for example, you do YouTube, you can put your videos on this layout and then put your hourly to-dos on the daily. It's just super flexible what you can do with this combined layout beyond just writing appointments on it. So I love the versatility of this, and I love that it's included, because my one issue with a daily planner and why I always need to have another layout when I use a daily planner, because currently that is what I'm in right now. I need to look at my week at a glance. I just have to look at my week at a macro level, and I know many other people do as well, and that's probably why they included this. So then you get into your daily agenda pages. And again, you can circle the days of the week on the top, so that saves you a little time. So on the top, you have your priorities, you have a health monitor icon, place to track how much water, vitamins, and then you get lines for tasks. And then you have your daily agenda on the side. This is not one continuous dotted line. It is split in the middle. So this runs from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. So you can write one thing on one side and one thing on the other. So how you divide that is up to you, or you can just continue writing and just ignore the fact that there is a space in the middle. On the bottom of the page, it is left open-ended for whatever notes you want to write, and that is quite a big chunk of the page. And you do get 31 days per month, no matter what month you're on. I guess you could also, depending when you started the planner, like let's say you started it like October 9th, you could just flip to the 9th and pick the day of the week, but you would waste the pages in the front if you were starting in the middle of the month, if that makes sense. So obviously it's a very flexible planner. Do what you want. You could just wipe this out. But I think it's nice that they provided the date, because again, like I don't really like writing in dates in undated planners. It's one of my biggest pet peeves, having to date an entire planner. But obviously that's personal choice whether you want to, waste the pages or not. And that is the rest of the planner until you get to the very back, and you have several note pages and two spreads of grid paper in the back. So on to the weekly vertical aligned planner. This is 8 inches across, 10 inches tall, and it is 3/4 of an inch thick. So it's obviously going to be a lot less thick than the daily planner that has a second spread, because this does not have a second spread in here, but it does have the extras. So opening up the planner, it's very similar to the daily planner in that you have your cover page, your welcome page, and how to use the layout. So this is the mock layout that they set out here. So priorities, meals, the same sort of health barometer up at the top, and then you have all of the line pages. And they did fill this out kind of like a general hourly, which is immediately what I thought of as well when I saw this planner. So the goal planning page for the year is the exact same as the daily planner. The page is just larger. So the debt payoff sheet is exactly the same, and the 52-week saving chart is exactly the same as well. And you also get the same current year overview, which is just your year at a glance, January through December, and the following year as well. The monthly layout is set out exactly the same way as well. You have January through December, and you can circle whichever one of those corresponds to the month you're on, as well as a monthly productivity tip, notes, important dates, and you do get 5 rows of monthly boxes. You also get the finance tracker for every month. Again, the month tab opens to the monthly and your bonus monthly pages. And your habit tracker. I'm really in love with this layout. I just think it's so clean, it's so simple. I have been looking for a neutral vertical that is just simple and to the point, and I just think this is so well done. But as you can see, moving on to the weekends, that the weekends are shared. So Saturday and Sunday do share a column. You get equal space for each column. It's the same thing, but it does share one. So that's either going to be not a big deal for a lot of you or a complete and total deal breaker for a lot of you. So I feel like that's kind of split down the middle. So flipping to a page that I wrote in a little bit, if you were interested in using this as a full-blown hourly and wanted to fill it out, this is what would fit on the page. So if you wanted to block out 2 little sections here per hour, so you could have 7, and this would be like the 7:30 mark, it would run in 12-hour increments. So you could do 7 to 7, 6 to 6, or whatever you wanted, and that's how it would fit. And if you wanted to fit even more hours, you could just do 1 hour per line, and I mean, that would take you well into the wee hours of the morning. And what's awesome is that after each month, you get an entire spread of checklists or to-do lists or whatever you want to use it for. So you have a lot of space to write down your to-dos or notes or whatever you want. And then you also get a nice big spread of lined paper as well. So this is after every month. And just to show you guys my quick little pen test, because remember, both planners have the same paper weight and the same paper, you can see that there's very minimal ghosting. It's there, but it's minimal. I see weekend plans and I see the numbers that I wrote, but I don't even think you can see that on camera. So it's not super noticeable, but it is there. And I used a Papermate Inkjoy gel pen, and after I wrote on it and then I ran my finger over it, the paper really did soak up the ink quite well because there is no smudging on this paper. So it looks nice and crisp. So the paper quality is really nice, but it's not, bulletproof. There is still some minimal ghosting on the back. So the planner runs this way until the end of the year. You get your monthly, following the monthly, the extras of the finance and habit trackers, and then into your weekly pages, and the lists and the line paper, all the way until the end of the year, where you get some lined pages and some graph paper in the back. So on to my favorite part of any planner review video. Are these worth it? Who are these for? Should you buy it? Is it worth the money? And here is what I think. I think these are absolutely worth the money. They are beautiful planners and they really do have a very beautiful aesthetic to them. My one thing I would point out in this 8x10 planner, which I'm sure many of you were thinking, is that the weekend layout being shared, as I mentioned, that's just going to be polarizing by nature. For some of you, that's a complete and total deal breaker. For others of you, it doesn't really matter depending what you're using this planner for. I do think because they made this planner geared towards creative professionals, I understand the want to keep the columns very wide. This planner does feel very spacious to write in and not overwhelming because you don't feel claustrophobic trying to write out all of your to-dos in a little vertical column, especially if you are a vertical planner. However, the life of a creative entrepreneur, if you work in creative business or if you've ever been in that industry, which I have been, is that weekends are like not off. Actually, weekends can be very, very busy, especially if, you're digital creative working on the side or whatnot. Your Saturdays and Sundays are definitely not a time off. So you would be sacrificing space on the other days of the week by obviously giving Saturday and Sunday their own dedicated columns. But I do think it's something generally to consider. Otherwise, like I mentioned, I love the layout. I think it's awesome. The shared weekends is an interesting choice. But if you are just using this planner for work, because I think this would make a fantastic traditional work planner as well, then the Saturdays and Sundays don't really matter to you that much. So, again, personal preference and personal user experience. The daily and weekly agenda planner, I really have nothing to say about this. I think it's just really, really well done. It's very pleasing to the eye to look at this clear delineation between this part of the page and this section of the page. I like that they didn't put any, superfluous things in there, like, don't forget, do this, whatever. Like, it's just completely up to you to write what you want at the bottom of the day. This could feel slightly cramped depending what you're writing in here. If you have big handwriting, I could see, this going into 2 lines quite easily. But again, because you have the space at the bottom, you can kind of shift it around. Like I mentioned earlier, I do like that it goes from 5 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. I agree from a design standpoint that if you were to make the spaces in between the hours bigger, if you were to pull this whole thing down, having this much space to write notes in wouldn't really make sense anyway. So that's, again, a personal preference, but I do like it the way it is. Just keep in mind that this space could get small depending how big your handwriting is. I 100% think these are worth the money. This planner retails for $72 and the weekly vertical retails for $64. Again, you are getting quite a few extras scattered throughout the month, so it's not just a weekly layout. Even though you're not getting a second planning layout, you are getting quite a few extras sprinkled with every month of the planner. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you are getting an entire year in here. You do not have to buy another planner to complete the year. So that alone, I think, is worth the $72 if this is something that you're interested in. If you are looking for a neutral planner that is very versatile, that you don't have to worry about spending the money and wasting because you can pick up right where you left off, I highly, highly recommend that you check out this planner company. Their site is very pleasing on the eye, obviously, because that's what they do. And I will leave a link to their website down below where you can order their planners. So like this video if you love these planners as much as I loved sharing them, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about them. Subscribe for more videos from me, and as always, I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.